Hey guys, it's your best friend Binks here, and today we're going to do a review of chapter 1096 of One Piece. So, with that being said, let's not waste any time. Let's just get right into it. So, we have the chapter of the title, which is called Kumachi, and I think personally in this chapter we get a little bit of an understanding about it, and I think it'll go hand in hand. It comes full circle, so we'll talk about it just a little bit later. Going into the cover story, we see Zoro and he's upset. Now, he's visibly upset because he's losing in a game of musical chairs, or has lost in a game of musical chairs, to a couple of what appear to be dogs, or if you will, puppies. But, you know, it's not so much about his gag still. I think Oda's going with the gag of him, losing like direction. So I think this gag is like, if he loses his sense of direction, maybe in the game he loses his sense of rhythm. So I'm just going to say he's losing his sense of rhythm, and Oda's like going with that gag. But what's interesting to me are the puppies. And I say that because the puppy facing the reader is actually very similar to Zoro in a sense, because he has the scar over his eye and he's also holding onto a sword. Now, that looks very simple and probably like the most basic thought, but if you ask me, I would go even further and say that maybe this is Garp. Albeit you take away the sword, because maybe Zoro dropped his sword. You have the same scar, and it looks about the same spot like Garp's. So then if you look at the puppy that's facing Zoro and looks like it's laughing, the hat and the style kind of resembles Roger. It looks just like Roger's. So it's like Roger's hat, Garp's scar. And then the last one that stood out to me was the one that looks like it's DJing, or being a DJ. Like, what if that is Luffy? It's a play on the D family, or the strongest D that we've seen so far. Like, you have Garp, you have Roger, and you also have Luffy. You have the Pirate King, the hero of the Marines, and you also have the newfound Emperor Yonko, or Sun God. So the musical notes we see could be Sun God Nika, Luffy / Sun God Nika. I don't know. To me, it could be a hidden message, just headcanon, but I think it's a hidden message. Maybe we'll see the last one that's standing in front of what looks like Luffy Nika could be Monkey D. Dragon. Hence that it's not doing anything. So, maybe it's a play on Dragon showing up next. Who knows? But moving right along into the chapter, we see that the tournament begins. And as the tournament is beginning, we see the announcer, and he says that there are 13 special rabbits worth 10,000 points. Okay. And in the last chapter, we know that Garling was like, I have 10,000 points deducted because I killed someone, but it's good for me. I need the morale. I need this to be more exciting because I'm like always winning. So I need this to be a little more exciting. But what stands out about that is that we could actually see these silhouettes of what appear to be other holy knights that are standing in front of the announcer. But there's like one on the far left who looks like an actual celestial dragon. So I'm not sure if we're going to count him too, but it could be. But you actually see 12 silhouettes. Now, we know in Dragon's flashback, when he says if they mobilize the holy knights, that's when the real battle begins. We only see 9. But in this one, we see 12. So with that being said, we get to see cool previews of a few of them. Like, we see one girl here, and this girl to me looks like a mixture of Law, like she has like Law's hat, the design, but with a sniper, you know what I mean? So, or a rifle, not even a sniper, could be just a rifle. So, like, what's her special ability? Is she able to snipe you from ridiculous range, or is she an up close and personal, like Kiku? What is she like? What does she do? We also get to see another guy, and he has a gas mask. I don't know what to make of that, but maybe he's a poison user, chemical user, or whatever. I don't know. Maybe he tortures people. Who knows? Maybe he's sadistic. Who knows? But then the last one we see is a girl who looks innocent, nothing special or spectacular about her. She just looks like a regular person. But looks can be deceiving. So with that being said, I wouldn't trust her as far as I could throw her or see her. And we barely see her. So there's that. What's interesting about this, though, is that the last two I pointed out, the gas mask guy and the innocent girl, I don't know what to call her, innocent girl and gas mask guy, someone pointed out to me on Twitter that they actually resemble two of the children in Big Mom's childhood when they were surrounded by Mother Caramel. Given Mother Caramel's history with her trafficking children or the child trafficking of underground child trafficking, who's to say that these two children didn't end up with celestial dragons or wherever in the West Blue somewhere and ended up in the hands of what appeared to be royal lineage, and this is the outcome. So I don't know. Do you think that's a coincidence or no? Let me know in the comments down below. Just tell me, do you think that these children were trafficked by Mother Caramel underground and they ended up becoming God Knights just by pure, coincidence? Or was it planned out? Like they asked specifically for these kind of kids, like unique children? Just let me know what you think down in the comments. But moving on to the next panel, we see Monkey D. Kong, and it's a young Monkey D. Kong and a young Garp, which is very interesting. And I only put emphasis on young because we really do not get the privilege of seeing this often of them in their younger days. So, you see a young Garp and a young Kong. We only see Kong one time. But the one time we do see him, he's very old with gray hair and he's still big. Like he's muscular, but we don't know what he can do. We don't know his power. We just know that maybe a long time ago, he was a fleet admiral. He was fleet admiral and he was calling the shots. We see a young Garp on the beach with a girl in the background, some music, his hands behind his head, the sun just shining on him, just giving him all the vitamin D he can stand, and he just trying to look pretty. But, we have Kong begging him to go to God Valley and help celestial dragons, but Garp's like, no. I hate celestial dragons. Why would I show up? What's the point? You know what I'm saying? Like even when you flash forward to the Reverie meeting and he was like having to escort these guys, he was like, hell no, I hate them. I don't want them. I just want to stay here with my honey, some music. I'm trying to make something happen here. No, I'm not doing it. So it is what it is. Then we see in the next panel over Ivankov. Ivankov is always, one thing I can honestly say about Ivankov is he's always been very outspoken, very passionate, very driven. No matter what the situation is, he's always been the speaker. He's always been active. He's always been an action and risk taker. He's always been the planner. He's always had it all together. Like I've not seen Ivankov never take the initiative. Even right now, like he's trying to rally the people's spirits. He says, if we can get our hands on the devil fruits, we can survive. But someone, grabs him out of the crowd and is like, you idiot, they're giving us 3 weeks. If we survive 3 weeks, we live, we win. But Ivankov was like, dude, are you dumb? Nobody ever survives these things for 3 weeks. They only say that to give you the morale, because who wants to beat a dead horse with a stick? You know what I mean? No one is going to come and save you. You're going to die in these 3 weeks unless we get these devil fruits. And it's like, why do you think they call you a rabbit? Which is a very interesting choice of words if we can go off topic here, because we've actually heard this before. When we first meet Dracula Mihawk fighting a young, up-and-coming pirate hunter Zoro. He himself told Zoro, I am not the type of fool to chase a rabbit with a cannon. to chase a rabbit with a cannon. What ties does Mihawk have to God Valley? Where did he learn this vernacular? We know that him and a young Shanks used to duel so often back then. Did Shanks actually grow up having this vernacular and it rubbed off on Mihawk? Did Mihawk actually have family of royal lineage? Where is that connection, you see? But back onto the topic, Ivankov is rallying the people and saying, help me. We get these devil fruits, man, we'll survive, but you ain't surviving for 3 weeks. They just say that so that they can have something to chase. They want to chase. They gave you hope so you can cling on to that false hope and they can kill you. But no one wants to join. So we get a Saint Jenny showing up. And Jenny says, I was eavesdropping and I also happened to hear that one of these devil fruits, if you get it, it can turn you into a dragon. You can fly away. You can roam the skies. You probably can rule the battlefield. You're a dragon after all. You can breathe fire. You can fly. You can do whatever you choose. But you just need that fruit. Or if you get the other one, if you touch somebody, they will simply disappear. You will send them away, far, far away. And I also want to let y'all know you have no choice because shit is about to hit the fan. Because I've dispatched and snitched to any and every, not Marine, but pirate out there that there's this little meeting going on here on this island. So you don't have a choice. You could help us, die trying to get the devil fruits and saving your own life, die by the hands of these pirates who are going to arrive, or die by the hands of those hunting you right now. Your choice. And speaking of dying, we actually see, we get a panel of Garling, and he just killed someone and earned himself 10,000 points. Yes, and what's pretty funny about this panel, though, is that you actually see him riding on a duck. And this duck, I don't know if your mind, but I don't know if it's just my mind, but, you know, hopefully your mind does it too, where you just say, oh, wow, this duck is very similar to Karu, you know, Vivi's duck. Maybe we get some kind of Karu backstory in his royal lineage, but we have a lot of things that appear to be, you know, syncing up with times of now, you know, and versus 38 years ago. So, you know, you have all of this going on, and while this is going on, while they're trying to boost the morale of the people, we get the arrival of the Rock's Pirates crew. Everyone except Rox is there. You don't see Rox. You hear him, but you don't see him. And Rox says, you know, hey, follow my lead. But, before I forget to mention, on the phone call between Kong and Garp, Garp tells Kong that the blood is on your hands because whatever treasure you stole from Pirate Island, Hachinosu, whatever treasure you stole, you shouldn't be surprised that they're coming back to claim that. So this is your karma. That's why I'm not going. You can deal with that yourself. I don't care. If they die, they die, but this is what it was for you. You should have seen this coming. But with that being said, we see the arrival of Rox. They're his crew, but we don't see Rox, and you hear Rox tell them to follow his lead. And Whitebeard basically says that fool Rox. Rox is always trying to give us orders. Now, here's the scary part about this. When these guys pull up, you just can feel the aura. You can just feel it exuding. You just know that this crew came to shut the show down. You know that they came and they mean business. They came here for whatever it is they need, and they will shed any amount of blood to get it. But in the same breath, you can see there's no unison amongst them. There's no unity. This is just a pirate. I don't even know if you can call them a pirate, because this is just a group of people who got together to run amok and terrorize the world. There's no unity. You get you a young Big Mom, a young Kaido, a young Whitebeard, a young Buckingham Stussy. You get you a young Gloriosa. You get an alive Captain John. You see everyone here, right? But you know that they're every man for themselves. There's no unity here, because as soon as they pull up, you hear Big Mom say, I'm claiming that treasure for myself, with a young Kaido behind her saying, "It'll do no good in your hands. What do you need it for?" So I'm assuming that Big Mom already has her fruit, and Kaido's like, just give it that, just give it to me. I'm going to take it, but give it to me. Even if you get it, I'll still take it from you. Then you get Gloriosa saying, "Hey, Stussy, you're making a fool of yourself." And you get Stussy saying to Whitebeard, "Not you too, Whitebeard." So what's crazy about this, though, is Mrs. Buckingham Stussy, her claims about Edward Weevil being Edward Newgate's son is looking kind of true, because not only is she talking to Whitebeard like so sweet, but she's also on his shoulder. Miss Buckingham Stussy is on the shoulder of Whitebeard. And also I want to point out that you have Gloriosa, who's there, but you don't see her around any man. So I made a prediction in my last video that maybe the man who swept Gloriosa off her feet was none other than Rox himself. And that's looking to be pretty plausible right now. But we'll have to wait around and see if that comes true. But you see these guys appear on the island and they're going to take what they want. No questions about it. They're all going for whatever they want. They don't care. You got Shiki saying he's going to blow everybody away, this, that, and the other, while everybody else is battling amongst themselves. So there's no unity here. There's no unison. There's no crew. This is just a gang. And if that doesn't sound bad enough, we get to see everyone from Rox except Rox himself. You also get the arrival of the Roger Pirates. Roger Pirates show up. The Roger Pirates show up. As soon as Rox makes landfall, Roger Pirates show up, and they were like, it's not going to be that easy. It's not going to be as easy as you make it out to be, because we're pirates too, so we're going to have to go ahead and run that fair one. But, it's seeming like these two are about to go head to head, but that ain't the case, because even more crazy is Garp. Garp is actually there now. Garp pulled up and was like, nah, this ain't happening. This ain't happening. And guess who's alongside Garp? None other than the man himself we've all been wanting to see, Bogart. Bogart appears with Garp. But that begs the question, what the hell happened to Suru, and what the hell happened to Sengoku? What happened to these guys? Why aren't they here as well? All we see is Bogart and Garp. And funny enough, I want to see if maybe Bogart goes into action, but I don't think so. Like, maybe he does defend himself, or he defends Garp, like protects Garp from outside forces after he's trying to get to Roger. But I don't think that Bogart's going to move in action like that. I think maybe Oda was just like, to hell with it. I just needed somebody to stand in. I'm just going to put Bogart there. You know what I mean? That's just my personal opinion. But last but not least, we also see the man himself, Garling being himself. Garling says, "Hey, Holy Knights, let's assemble, because they are in our territory. We need to defend this as much as we can. We cannot allow them to take over." And with that being said, we actually get another view of two more of the God Knights. And this is weird, because one of them is another girl. She's a girl, and she is wearing like this black corset. And her black corset is it's nothing unordinary, but the guy, his outfit is just ridiculous. He has on this like demon face, like this bone face with the horns, and it looks very sadistic. So I don't know, man. It scares me. I'm ready to see what he's capable of. I don't know if he's like the Grim Reaper of the group, and he's the one that actually does all the work, but it's looking like he does. So with that, we'll move right along into our next panel, because we see Big Mom. Big Mom hopped off the ship, and she immediately beelined it straight towards Ivankov and Kuma. And what happens is she takes she like knocks Ivankov out somehow. Maybe she choked him out or something. But she knocks him out and takes the fruit that will be known as Kaido's fruit. And she's trying to steal from Kuma, but he was like, nope, I'm going to eat it. So he eats his devil fruit. And as soon as he eats his devil fruit, not even 3 seconds later, he is on his, back, because Saturn pulled up and was like, bam, evil eye, knocked down. Kuma was knocked down by the same attack that put down Sanji and Bonnie. But what's weird about this is Saturn wasn't even using his devil fruit form. He was just like a regular guy. So are there different APs being put out, like with him doing this to Kuma versus him doing this to Bonnie and Sanji? Because Kuma hopped right back up. Kuma gets up and is like, I hate the fact that he's like, are you somebody of importance in this world? I hate the fact that you are born or you have power, and a person like me was born into slavery. Because if I had that kind of power, I would save people and liberate them, just like Sun God Nika. And being cold as he is, Saturn was like, and that's exactly why you need to die. Because you Buccaneers know too much. You're name dropping too much. You're trying to give the people hope, and we don't need that. We do not need that. So then, with that being said, somehow or another, Saturn's getting ready to make another attack, and Kuma disappears. But we don't really see that. Kuma just escapes. But we see in the next panel that we're in Sorbet Kingdom. And once we get to Sorbet Kingdom, we get to see a newspaper reading that, or not even a newspaper, we get to see that Morgans lets out a newspaper that says the hero of the Marines is Garp because he saved God Valley. But we know that's not the full story. What's the full story? Morgans wasn't even there, so how does he know what happened? But Morgan supposedly got the scoop and was like, hey, this is the hero of the Marines. It's Garp. Then we see Ivankov, Jenny, and Kuma. And Ivankov is bidding them farewell because this might be the last time they see each other for a while, because he's saying he's going to set sail to the seas. He doesn't want to be held down, so he wants to be free. So he's taken to the seas. But, he's telling Kuma like, hey, those hands of yours, those are like hands of liberation. And that gave Kuma the hope that, like he could be like Nika too. And we also see that, Kuma tells him, I'll never forget your face, Ivankov. Like you were, you were the man. And it was a lie, because at Marineford, as we know, Kuma did not recognize Ivankov. And that's what upset him. And he was just like, how could you forget me after everything we've been through? But this is what makes Kuma's backstory top tier. You just see the heart, you feel it, the heart-wrenching and the gut-wrenching feels of what he's been through. And in the face of disparity and adversity, he's still standing tall with his head held high. And that being said, we see Kuma's working. We see Jenny helping out. Then we see Kuma get bullied by a couple of kids, like, because he's a giant. He's a Buccaneer, so he's getting teased and he's getting rocks thrown at him. But Jenny wasn't having it, so Jenny jumps the kids. She beats them up. Kuma, being the perfect guy he is, he's seen healing them. He's seen healing the kids. Then after that, we see him and Jenny eat dinner. And as they're eating dinner, Kuma says, you have such, you have such a huge appetite. Like, he calls Jenny basically by Bonnie's epithet. He calls her a glutton. So I think with that being said, he makes it pretty clear, or Oda makes it pretty clear, that at this point, Jenny and Bonnie are daughter and mother. I mean, wouldn't you agree? Wouldn't you agree? Or give me a different take on what you feel. But I feel like Jenny and Bonnie, this has to undoubtedly be the most substantial evidence that shows that they're related. Also, I would like to mention that throughout all this time in the Sorbet Kingdom, Jenny has been referring to Kuma as Kumachi. Kumachi. So maybe Kumachi is her name for him specifically. You know how like Luffy gave Kid the name Jaggy, or he gave, you know, Old Man Hio the name Gramps, or, you know, like, you know, Flower Guy. So I think this is Jenny's way of showing her friendship toward Kuma by calling him Kumachi. I would also like to point out that I did notice something too. I also noticed that if you look at Jenny's design and you look at Atlas's design, it looks like they were both like, well, not both, but they were like Vegapunk actually designed Atlas after Jenny. It looks like Atlas was designed right at like her design is spot on to Jenny's, a younger Jenny that is, and Bonnie looks like Jenny as well. So maybe that's why he is so attached to Bonnie and Jenny, as well as Kuma, because he made Atlas after them, like after Jenny and Bonnie. They share similarities. But after he calls her by an epithet, you know, that's just the end of the chapter. We get no more, unfortunately, but we still have a lot of unanswered questions. Hopefully we get those answers soon, and I'm hoping that we still get another God Valley flashback. But with that being said, that's going to be my time. I appreciate each and every one of you giving me a listen, stopping by my channel and hanging out with me. It is so much fun when we get to talk about these things and we get to see what comes up next. With that being said, please don't forget to like, share, but most of all, subscribe so that you see when I'm posting, you'll be able to jump in and say, hey, we get this fresh from our best friend Binks. With that being said, until next time, peace.